I'm Judy Griffin with Aroma Health Texas. Today we're going to do a special wound healing blend that uses the petite fluorescence enfleurages that I make as well as essential oil. And they're gentle enough to use on an animal. And my Japanese Akita, Gumbeta, is going to demonstrate that for y'all because she has pink skin naturally, and so it's easy for her to get hot spots and even worse. Yeah, you're going to get a treat when you get through. So all I'm going to, this is just for her, so I'm not going to get a special dropper. Up. That's a good girl. There. That's a good girl. Now we can get another place. Stay real still. Whoop. Okay. All right. You're all done. You look so pretty. Oh, what have we got for you? Oh, goodbye. So now let's make the blend. Okay, well, this is going to be a little bit different because I'm going to show you how I use the flower enfleurage essences as well as essential oil. They really do blend well together. The essential oils are more healing, driving. They're active in your body for 2 hours, and by then they're in your urine, so you're releasing it. So it's there for that push. Then we use the flower essences, which are much milder in scent, but they do have a nice scent. And they work, I like to use them with more emotional support that continues for some time, because the petite fleur, they will stay in your body for hours working. And when you're working on changing attitudes and emotions that are really set in, it's like crystallized in your system, in all parts of your brain. So it makes sense to put the two together. We'll get the wound healing, and we'll get also the work with the emotional level. And as you release emotions that are especially deep-seated, that are not real positive for you, then you release incredible amounts of energy that can be used for healing, as well as all the energy that's used in the essential oils and the flower essences. So the first one, I'm going to do it kind of like a blend. Oops. But it doesn't have to be the exact 6-15-9 drop type blend. But I'm going to make, first I'm going to use myrrh. I'm going to use my healing base notes. And myrrh and frankincense are about as healing as you can be. They have many properties that are healing. They're anti-inflammatory. Myrrh even helps to, it works like opioids in the brain. It helps to reduce pain receptors so you're not in so much pain. And frankincense, well, you've seen how I use that in cancer blends and that, because it works on many different types of illnesses, especially with cancers. So as far as on the body, it's got boswellic acid, and that helps the most to reduce inflammation in the body. And even things like ulcerative colitis, it can get it within weeks. Just using boswellic acid, it can get it where it's level and there's no inflammation. That's quite a bit of success. So we're using just 5 drops of myrrh, 5 drops of frankincense. And then we're going to go to the some flower essences. And the first one I want to bring up is dill. I know, you think of pickles. But dill, it smells like dill that you grow. It's a beautiful plant, and the butterflies love it. and it's a host plant for many butterflies. It works on things like separation anxiety, fear of death, fear of being alone. These are things that are, it's not like we necessarily come in with them, but just in our society and how we work and that we have family and companionship most of our lives, most of us, we may enjoy alone time, but people don't necessarily look forward to being alone all the time. And fear of death is, I've heard so many people say, I'm not afraid of dying, but they've never been in a situation where they were looking at it in the face. So that's a big one. That is the primal fear that runs the body, and it runs us into the fight or flight, where you're throwing out adrenal hormones and really the whole body's in a fluster. So dill is the one I use for that. I have done this in hospitals and clinics and private practice for 45 years, so I've had plenty of time to work out my formulas and how accurate and which ones to use. So I'm going to use just 5 drops of dill. And I'm using a drain bottle because I want you to try it out. Get a small bottle, make sure you have this tight screwing lid, and you want amber because it keeps your scent. And scent is part of the healing properties of these plants. Next one we're going to use is chamomile. And chamomile is good for disappointment. Now, the essential oil, this is the flower essence, the petite flower essence. These are enfleurages. They are not made like other flower essences. Flower essences are water, they soak flowers in water for a little while and put it in the sunshine and dilute it out. That's not what we do at all. With enfleurages, they're actually can be more healing and more scented than even essential oils, and they have the true scent of the plant. Chamomile I use for disappointment. Now, it's very calming as an essential oil, and it's very calming to the skin and very soothing, so it's great for a wound healing blend. But when we add the disappointment, people go, disappointment. They don't. Disappointment is what fuels anger. It fuels so many deep feelings, and nobody loves me, or I'm not important. All these other things spawn from disappointment. So it's a very, very big thing when you're working emotionally with people. And when you are working with people in the healing mode of any kind, whether it's your pet or yourself or someone you work with or care about, I'm sure you care about them, you have to work on that, especially on the long-term emotional level, because otherwise, have you noticed that people just inflame again or get sick again or hurt themselves again, and they're accident prone, and we can work with that, okay? So we're going to put some chamomile in here. Again, I'm using 5 drops. And that's why you could use chamomile essential oil. I don't know if you want dill essential oil. It's pretty strong, but you certainly could use that. And then you'd have your myrrh, your frankincense, dill, chamomile. You can use all essential oils in a little bottle like this. You wouldn't need to use more than a couple drops of, especially chamomile. Roman chamomile is very strong, and even 1 drop in a bottle like this is going to dominate the scent. And the next one we're going to use is helichrysum. Now, we haven't talked a lot about helichrysum, but that is it's one of the most regenerative, skin regenerative plants that grow. And it's been said to heal cancer and so many things, but I can tell you for sure it does regenerate the skin, and it's very soothing. We have in our native Texas petite fluorescence blends an essence called curry, which is the same plant, okay? And it's a Corsican plant. And we use it for learning or being able to think on your feet and make quick decisions and quick actions. And have you ever been thinking like 3 days later, I should have, I could have, or why didn't I think of that? Well, curry helps that. And if you are in situations where that would be important at any time in your life, that would be great to use the curry, the helichrysum. And otherwise, we're using it in our brine because it's so healing. And you notice my dog didn't complain. She was just ready for, I let her know she was getting a treat. But she's really a good dog. She's got such sensitive skin that I can't use a lot of things on her that are natural because they're still too strong for her. And when we're talking about animals, I do not use a lot of essential oils on animals, except, myrrh and frankincense. You can use those, but the essential oils on animals, you really need to dilute them out in an ounce blend where you have lots of your carrier oil in there, and there's a lot of them I wouldn't use. People are probably thinking right now, why aren't you using tea tree? Well, tea tree is great if you're working with adults, and they like the smell of that, and it grows in Texas too, so it makes it special. However, it's very toxic to dogs, so I won't even have it around. I don't use it on myself because my dog's around me all the time, and their smell is like 25 times more than ours. So a little bit could really make her sick, and that I wouldn't like. Now we're ready to do something that would be more like a top note in a blend, and I chose lavender. Specifically spike lavender, if you can get it. We have different types of lavender, not all stuck together. If you just see lavender or lavender angustifolia, that means any lavender, and that's how the FDA put it together. And if you want spike lavender because it is the best for healing, then healing the skin, healing the lungs, healing the whole immune system, then you can either use our Petite Fluorescence enfleurage type, not essential oil, but enfleurage, or you can use a little bit of spike lavender oil, hopefully. And I use 9 drops of that. Now I can put more in this bottle, but keep in mind, with using the flower essences that I am, the enfleurages, they're in a vegetable glycerin base. They're already, as a dilution, they're concentrated. It takes a minimum of a quart of flowers over and over and over again to make this little bottle. So they're very, very concentrated. But they don't have to be diluted. If you want to, you can. You can use any carrier oil you like. And I'm just going to make this much for us today, and I'm going to put my label on it with a date. And that's mostly so if I find it 2 years from now, I have an idea of how potent it's going to be still. You don't need to dilute these, okay? If you use lavender and different essential oils like that, you might want to dilute it, especially if you use it on animals. I don't use lavender on animals really either, not directly, and I certainly don't diffuse it. I think it's too strong for them. And not every essential oil has been tested on animals, and so keep in mind, I don't know that it affects birds, but if you have a dog or a cat or things like that, it can be very strong. Now I use them on horses and on cows. We had cows that wouldn't milk, and the farmer said, it's going to be going to McDonald's if you can't get it to milk within the next 3 days. Well, after one day of using one of my blends, which actually is the Compet blend on our website, we make a blend for that, and the cow was producing milk. He never had any problem again. We've used it on horses that were rearing up and bucking and really tearing down fences, and it's amazing how fast they slow down and calm down. We used the Harmony, bouquet of Harmony, which is basically roses, for that animal. They're very sensitive. Animals are very sensitive to essences and plants, and if you ever see them grazing, or even your dog in the yard, they're always smelling all the different plants because they get healing that way too. So I'm trying to demonstrate how to use things properly for animals or ourselves. I want you to contact me with any questions. There are no stupid questions unless I can't maybe answer it, but that makes me stupid, not you maybe. So we can find ways to use essential oils. It will make your essential oils last longer if you use them with your the flower essences. They will not work with water-based flower essences. These are enfleurages, and they're in vegetable glycerin. Some vegetable glycerin. There's some water that comes off the flower, which is tiny amounts, and anyway, it's a very viscous liquid, but it combines with essential oils well enough, and the water-based essences won't do that. I want you to give me some feedback. People have been asking me, show me how you use them with your flower essences with essential oils. So we're going to be taking some examples of that in like a series, and it'll show you how you can work with emotions, deep emotions and attitudes that we really need to change to progress on our journey in life, and essential oils, which also help us doing that. It smells good. I'd like you to like, share, and contact me, okay? And at the look for these essential oils and flower essences with the
in the descriptions.
In the descriptions. I'm not good at this, but in the descriptions, Mark has all of the essential oils or flower essences, books, whatever that we have that relate to this show. That will be listed for you. So we are done, and thank you for coming and being my teachers. Bye-bye.